Welcome to the Group Home Riches Podcast. If you have the desire to be your own boss, create your own schedule, and become financially free while at the same time helping people in need, then you've come to the right place. At grouphomeriches.com, we teach people exactly like yourself how to get started in the group home business. And on this podcast, you're going to hear their stories firsthand.
Whole bunch of punctual people today. Welcome, everybody. In a couple minutes here, let everyone settle in.
Yo.
How you doing, man?
Good.
What's up, Andy?
Hey, Terrence, how are you?
I'm doing well, sir. What about yourself?
Good. Doing well, man. No complaints today, man. Everything's, it's never necessarily smooth, but things are going.
I don't know if we need to go into complete details about the issue today, Andy.
You want me to, it's early, but I can always send you a text and you can put it up on the screen if you want to.
We're not putting that. There's an issue there's a restroom issue in one of his rentals or flips.
Yeah. It's a rental property, and oh my God, I'll tell you guys the story. Even though I should probably even just tell it during the podcast, but so this, again, not a group home. You guys are probably like, why don't you just run them all as group homes? But there's so many of them that we have to, you just keep running them as rentals or whatever. But this one, I've had it for a long time, and the previous tenant passed away. So it was probably around August of last year, and I was busy, wanted to get it rented out quickly. And a lady applied. She had $90,000 in the bank. Did not have a job, but I wasn't really too concerned. Ellen underwrote her. That's my assistant. And she's like, yeah, she's just moving here, blah, 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 blah. And lo and behold, February, she doesn't make her payment. Ellen calls me. She's like, I can't get a hold of her. So I kind of start getting involved. I get involved, and I'm like, hey, we're either filing an eviction or you got to get out of there. And so she left, which is good, but the place was trashed to high hell. And anyway, so the guy that's doing all the work, like the make ready work, he just sent me a text message a couple minutes ago, and we both speak Spanish with one another. And he goes, no mames, way, which is like, dude, this is fucking horrible, basically. And it's a toilet, and apparently the lady probably just never paid her water bill, and the entire toilet is full of what, so full of shit.
Wow.
So yeah.
With no water, that's gotta be terrible.
Oh, it's horrible. Absolutely horrible. But these are the sort of issues that, frankly, yeah, they might pop up at your group home, but the reality is you've got somebody overseeing it 24 hours a day. So if somebody starts trying to play games like that, the house manager's like, get the hell out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different story. But
Yeah, I would say about 99% of the stories that I hear from Andy, like this, the stressful, like putting fires out type of stories, they're typically coming from the rental properties.
yeah, they all are pretty much. The other thing that's pretty interesting for anybody that's on here listening is that any of your problems at the very beginning that seem like just monstrous issues, monster problems, once you build up capacity to handle those problems, you just laugh about it. Like back in the day, 25 years ago, I'd have been like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But I mean, I've dealt with this problem, hundreds of times. So it's just not that big of a deal anymore.
All right. And guys, we were just hearing about a problem with one of Andy's rentals. We're just kind of chopping it up, small talk before we really get into the content. We'll give it another minute or two. I see a whole lot of people popping in. If you guys have any questions, ideally specifically for Terrence, drop them in the chat. We'll we'll do the first, let's say about 45 minutes. We'll just kind of hear your story, Terrence. And I really want to dive into how you started kind of on a tight budget. So
Yep.
Terrence is one of our students, now a coach, who was able to get started with little to no money down. And that was through either partnering or working with investors. So I would say he's super skilled at that at this point. He's not only pitched for himself, but for a couple of our done for you clients. So that's something that, and Terrence, working with coaching clients now and being active in school, I would say that's, besides marketing, that's probably the number one issue that a lot of our students have. Would you agree?
100% is that last step to even having the confidence to go speak to someone about partnering on a property, which is why, we always recommend people to start with the marketing first and getting those relationships built up with nonprofits. And one thing you forgot to mention is not only did I start with a low budget, but I also trusted in the program you and Andy built out and invested in one-on-one coaching. And without that, honestly, I wouldn't be in the position I am today with 5 properties, and we're expanding on more, which we can touch on, once we get into the story. So kudos to you guys for building this out.
Well, thank you. And yeah, you got a little bit of the tough love through the coaching program.
I did have to get some tough love. And I am returning the favor now that I am in the coaching seat, and there's some clients that we work with that have to give tough love, but it's a part of the business. Like Andy said, some of the problems that may come up, they're really laughable once you start to scale and get the broader scope of things. So sometimes tough love is needed to remind people why we're started.
100%. So it's about 5 after 12. I'm sure people will still start to come in, but let's get into it. Before we get into the nitty gritty, hearing about the coaching program and your successes and stuff, Terrence, why don't you just give them a background on who you are, where you're from, and what were you doing? What were you doing before you found us? Why did you find us? Let's get into that type of stuff.
Absolutely. So originally from Fresno, California, that's where I was born and raised. I ended up moving across the country to Tampa, Florida, where I am now, to do grad school. I got my master's degree in exercise science, and getting ready to finish, I realized that the fitness industry was not something that I wanted to do professionally. So started to look into other business opportunities, one of which was real estate and working with a startup company as well, doing sales. And throughout that process, I also regave my life to Christ. And that was one of the big milestones for me, to where I realized I really do enjoy helping people. But I still have my business mindset. I love systems, and discovered a way to kind of help people and be a part of real estate at the same time, which is this business model that we're doing today. So I was training people outside of the downtown in Tampa. There's a park like near our Riverwalk, and we would train early in the morning around 5 a.m., I would say. And around that time, so many homeless people would start to populate and come into the park. And one day I just started asking, where are you guys coming from? Because it seemed like they showed up at the same time every day. And it was the time that they were being released from some of the shelters that we're staying at. Because the shelters allow you to stay for certain hours, but it's not really a home. So you can't stay there for a long period of time. And when they get released, they don't really have anywhere to go. Which is where the gap was that I saw, and kind of my heart picked up. So, I started talking to some of my friends about it. And one of them had heard of you guys before. So I decided to reach out. Obviously, I purchased the gold course, dove in there, did my own due diligence. And then, like you said, I did not have a lot of funds at the time to, go out and purchase a property or invest in a property, but I did know that I wanted to do coaching, so I decided to sign up for your guys' one-on-one coaching program. The Done For You was not out at that time, or else that's something that would have saved me a lot. But we did the one-on-one coaching program. I got connected with Brandon, and he put me on the straight track to start with marketing, started building a list of nonprofits in the Tampa area, get connected on and taught me how to use a virtual assistant to help me build a list because I still had a full-time job at the time. And once we got connected and I had a waiting list of 20 plus people ready to move in, we had 5 solid referral sources from nonprofits, started reaching out to properties. So there's different ways you can go about, acquiring a property. The way I found my first one was actually on Zillow, which was great, very fortunate of it. Obviously didn't get it the first time around, but I look on Zillow for properties that are listed for rent by the owners. And I came across a property management company that had a duplex property that they were trying to rent to someone, but a single family person was not interested in taking it. So I pitched them on what I wanted to do, and it ended up working out to where we could move forward with the property. Um, Now, before that, I do want to highlight the benefit here of like the one-on-one coaching. I was reaching out to other investors with properties, and Brandon actually helped me pitch a set of landlords. And I think the calls in one of these courses, right, Brandon?
Yeah, it's one of the bonus materials that we'll give to our Done For You clients when it's time for them to start doing the same thing.
Yep.
And
Yes.
I want to dive into that call because that was an experience for me. But I want to I want to rewind a little bit because it's one of those things that's kind of counterintuitive. I know we probably have a lot of beginners or people that haven't started on the call yet, and it's just a very common frame of mind. You probably had it before you started the coaching program, is just the analysis paralysis.
Mhm.
You're We talk about marketing, and it's a group home business. Many of you don't have a home to operate out of. So how do you market? It's just counterintuitive. So people get stuck in that phase. They don't want to purchase a property yet because they're not sure if it's going to start, if it's going to work, right? And they don't want to start marketing because in their mind, they don't have anything to market yet. So
Yep.
why don't we dive into that? You said the first thing that you did was to start marketing to nonprofits. Explain that. How did you do that without a property? Did you pull up a fake home and send them pictures and lie to them about this beautiful property that you owned, or what was that like? Kind of let's let's zero in on that a little bit.
Absolutely. So I actually chose to work with a virtual assistant, just because of my bandwidth of having a full-time job as well. So hired someone on Fiverr to build a list of nonprofits, and case managers, social workers in the Hillsborough County area. And from there, I would, during my free time, pick up the phone, give them a call. I would send out emails, and reaching out. And the response is that I was getting were shocking to me, even though you told me that would get them to where they were extremely interested in working with someone like myself, even though I did not have a property yet, just because of the demand that is already there. So I'd let them know, hey, this is kind of the goal of what I want to do. I'm at the very beginning stages of, starting this adventure, but over the next 3 to 5 months, I plan on opening a few properties and really want to help the homeless population. When you pitch nonprofits with the opportunity to be the first, to connect with someone who's about to open up houses, they get so excited on the calls, thrilled on emails, and it kind of turns into a reverse sell to where they're selling you on why you should work with their program.
And that's what we told you on your first call, and you were kind of I don't think you really, really believed it until you started to get out there and put into action, right?
Yeah, and that's where the tough love had to be actually, because as you can see on the screen, after after each call, there's milestones or homework assignments that you have to get through. And I had not accomplished one of the milestones yet. And I tried to reach out to Brandon. I was like, maybe we should just do a property first. And he's like, well, have you connected with 25 marketing contacts? Do you have those nonprofits ready to fill up a home? And couldn't lie, I said no. And he encouraged me to continue reaching out to the nonprofits, which I did, and ended up working out in the long end.
Let's do a little live role play here since we have so many people. So me and Andy, we did this on the last call. This is again just to kind of show we're just freestyling here. We're doing it live. So
Mhm.
we'll kind of walk these people through the very first step, and I will do it in the first kind of major metropolitan area that people drop in the chat. So if you are wondering the very first steps that you can do in your city, drop it in the chat and I'll show you guys live with Terrence here. And all right, we got Boston. Boston was the first one.
I did see Boston first, yep.
Yep. So Terrence talked about building a list, and he hired a VA to do it. And you'll see why. You either want to have a lot of time on your hands, or be able to work a couple hours per day on this. It is time consuming, but we'll kind of show you here live. So this is the material that's covered in our gold course, how to build your marketing list. It's the very first step, very first actionable step that you can take once you figure out the basics. And if you guys have questions on the basics, drop them in that chat. Me and Andy will spend some time on the questions and answers once Terrence bounces, and hopefully Terrence will have some time to do some Q&A as well. So one of the keywords it's in the gold course keyword guide. So you could give this to your virtual assistant or do it on your own. We're going to do rapid rehousing in Boston. Here's another really cool resource as well. Hey, Andy,
I'm here.
just off the top of your head, you want to rattle off a couple of the keywords that these folks should be marketing to?
Well, I think I would probably start. I mean, SSI, you're talking keywords, SSI, SSDI. I'd be looking also for individuals or groups, organizations that act as representative payees on behalf of a lot of these people. So representative payee guys, when I say guys, all y'all listening, a representative payee is somebody that's going to handle the money of all these individuals who are in fact receiving cold hard dollars, US dollars on a monthly basis. On the low end, probably $600, upwards of $3,500 a month, average probably around $1,250 a month. So yeah, I think that'd be a real good keyword to go after as well. Am I missing anything, Brandon? Is that what you wanted me to touch upon?
No,
or-
it's perfect. Just again, just to give them an idea. And I pulled up a couple just real quick. So one, you saw me type in rapid rehousing.
Yep, there's a good one.
That'll typically pull up the NGOs and the larger nonprofits
Mhm.
that you'll need to do a lot of follow-up on typically. Terrence, it might have been different for you, but working with the done for you clients, we have a virtual assistant that the majority of the time her day is spent just following up with these people. Did you experience that when you were first trying to reach those places?
Yeah, there was a little delay, and you also can get connected with gatekeepers at first, right? So learning how to not just say, okay, hi, gatekeeper, I appreciate the information. here's a flyer on our end, but actually asking, who is the right person that I need to speak with. And the titles typically are, housing coordinator, case manager, stuff like that.
Yeah, so you get an inside glimpse of what our virtual assistants do kind of daily with our done for you clients. We'll do this in the beginning. This is the first thing that we're going to do within that first week or two. We have a couple, tricks. They're taught in the gold course as well, but we're going to get at usually around 1,000 contacts that we can market to. So this is the organizational type research that you'll want to do. Sorry, guys, I'm playing with all my Zoom windows. They're, of course, in the way here. So, you're looking here and you'll see these are the larger programs. I didn't see anybody that was specific for housing. Let's just see. There's my control F.
Probably leasing and compliance manager.
Right. Or this
Oh.
person.
Mm-hmm.
So director of leasing programs or director of supportive housing. So again, just pulled it up live, rapid rehousing in Boston. This is an example of a type of large nonprofit that you're going to want to establish a relationship with. You may have to do a lot of back and forth with them, like Terrence said, going through the gatekeepers. What we'll do for our clients is set up a Zoom meeting, and it's usually going to be with somebody like Monica here or Calpurnia. So Terrence, again, just live role play here. Let's kind of give the people some value and show them those first steps. Let's rewind to where you were when you were beginning, right? You didn't have the house. You might have been nervous. You might have never talked to these people before. What are you going to say to Monica as soon as you get Monica on the phone or in a meeting or on Zoom?
Yeah, ideally it's on Zoom for the first one, and that's where we what we set up in the Done For You program. But the initial pitch is really simple, and we actually had a call today with a major organization in Houston for one of our clients, and the call went great. And the beginning pitch is, hey, my name is Terrence. I'm the operations manager over at Kingdom Housing. We're at the very beginning stages of our process, but over the next 3 to 5 months, we plan on opening 5 to 6 properties, really focused on helping people transition out of homelessness. We're reaching out to organizations like yourself who already have their boots on the ground, with the population and the different demographics we want to serve, and seeing how we can best serve you guys and become a partner. After you give something like that, I'm not kidding you. You really don't have to talk that much after that, because they are starting to sell you. They get excited. They're pitching you on, oh, our program works with this housing organization, or we're connected with HUD in this way, and we have this much funding to help individuals who are transitioning out of homelessness. And you sit back, you listen, and if you are having a hard time at the beginning stages getting in contact to get that Zoom meeting set up, one, our Done For You colleagues, the VAs, will help you do it. But if you're doing it yourself, Brandon, you have a saying that I love to utilize, and it's the money is where?
Andy, I'll let you answer that. Where's the money typically?
It's at the government. I mean, it's at the government. It's at the federal level. It's at the NGO level. It's at the nonprofits. What did Willie Sutton say? Right? Willie said when they asked him, "Hey Willie, why you been robbing banks?" He said, "Because that's where the money is." So this is where you go for the money.
And
But Brandon,
it's a
your
sales
response to
stage.
Terrence may be a little bit different. I don't know. What do you say?
Well, what did Brittany just tell us?
I don't remember. Tell
It's
me.
in the follow-up.
It's in the follow-up. Yes. I always said 80% of sales occur after the fifth close. You
Yep.
need to pound that, all y'all, into your memory bank. 80% of sales occur after the 5th close. So you need to see something 5 or 6 times before you're even interested in buying. The money's in the follow-up.
Yep, 100%. And especially with the larger places, because they're very bureaucratic. There may be 1 or 2 gatekeepers. You may speak with Monica, then she's going to want to do a follow-up meeting with Calpurnia and their team. And then it's just a constant back and forth. I have one screenshot with one of our first done for you clients. It was an email chain where we got a MOU, which is basically a contract with them before, you know, the home was opened. There were between 40 to 50 follow-ups in this email chain before we got the contract. So just to highlight that point, you make a great point there, Terrence. So yeah, that's just a live example of what you guys can do. I forget who said it in Boston, but that's literally what you could do today. Pick up the phone and try to speak with Monica or Calpurnia or whoever would be the landlord liaison. There's a ton of different, you know, terms, but basically, hey, can I speak with somebody in housing? I'm a landlord. I want to speak with somebody in housing. Boom. You know, try to get through those gatekeepers quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just do this at scale. This doesn't mean that you stop there. So let's go back. Like the first assignment, right, was at least 25 contacts. But Terrence, how many contacts do you have in your CRM now that you could market to, that you could call, email, etc.?
Oh, wow. Now we're at like a 1,000 plus. Now, granted, some of the case managers and social worker contacts that we have, I'm sure, are no longer with the organization anymore, but we're getting 7 to 10 calls a day of people, either the exact individuals or case managers reaching out for people in need of housing. So I haven't had to do an email blast in a little bit.
Andy, how many do you have on your list?
Thousands. But remember, we've been doing it for, 25 years.
So again, this is just to give you guys a snapshot of what you could do. And this is what you could literally spend probably the next months building your list manually if you wanted to. There's obviously some ways to do that quicker now. Virtual assistants, scraping software. We have a couple tricks that's broken down in the gold course here. Okay. There's also homeless shelters. So these types of places are, serving these demographics. You could call them, you can stop in person. I pulled up just social worker in Boston, and look how many phone numbers pop up.
Guys, the other thing you can do, and I don't know if we've got this in the gold course or not, but just put a list of all the nursing homes and assisted living homes together in your city. And the reason why you want to do that is kind of twofold. Number one, Brandon could actually pull this up. The average assisted living cost in the United States, now in Boston, it's going to be much more, but the average assisted living cost is probably in the neighborhood of about $2,500 to $3,500 a month.
I would
Okay.
say
People can't afford this. There you go. So $4,500 a month.
Being conservative.
People cannot afford that. Okay. So what you can do is you can start networking with these assisted livings, networking with these nursing homes. And guess what? When people run out of money at these places, they're gonna, they put you on their list and they'll start sending their clients to you. The other thing that these nursing homes and these assisted livings do, remember, all we're doing is running called a care home or a group home, right? We provide just the housing. These other guys, they got to be licensed, this, that, and everything else. Well, the minute that they can no longer, when I say they, I'm referring to the nursing homes and the assisted livings, the minute that they can no longer bill Medicare or bill insurance or bill any of these third parties to generate income, they kick those people out and to the curb, but they've got to have a place for them to go. Now, these people are still all making thousands of dollars a month in federal subsidies, right? So they can afford to pay you rent. But the nursing homes, they got to get rid of them. And the nursing homes will pick up the phone and call you and place clients with you. So there's so many little awesome tidbits of information that you can take from these webinars, listening to Terrence and everybody else, to have your place at full occupancy in no time flat.
And again, it's step by step. The very first thing is just get it out of the way, pick up the phone, smile and dial. Once you have a couple good conversations, maybe via Zoom or the phone, you feel confident speaking about this, you have a basic understanding of the business model yourself, you'll then have the confidence to not, go to a hospital, go to a nursing home and explain this to them and you just ask for their business. And that's something that if it's the one-on-one coaching program, we'll probably, maybe on call number 2, call number 3, we'll tell you, hey, here's a list of shelters or hospitals, nursing homes in your area. Go talk to them. If you're a done for you client, we'll actually have you go to these nursing homes or hospitals and go with your phone recording in your pocket. And then Terrence can analyze the meeting or the talk that you have. So it's, again, step by step, brick by brick, right? But this is the first step. So that is it. Once you do that, you'll be much more confident going to purchase the property or lease it. So I have a question for the chat. For those that haven't done this, that haven't started marketing or anything like that, I want you guys to be honest with me. Give me a yes or no. How many of you feel confident going to put money down on a property for leasing or purchasing or even partnering with an investor, knowing that your payment is due next month? How many of you actually feel confident about doing that? I want you guys to be honest. No. Yes, we got a couple yeses. I would ask, why haven't you done that then? For the people that are saying no, would you feel much more confident if you had a contract with a place like this? Or if you had a wait list. If you had a wait list and you knew you could fill it up, would you feel a lot more confident going to do it then? So now, do you guys see why we tell you to market first? Terrence, you figured that out kind of midway through the coaching program. Looking back, do you see why we had you do the marketing and stuff first, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's a twofold, right? So part of it is your confidence in being willing to make the investment on the property, but it also changes the type of conversation that you're able to have with that landlord, with saying, hey, I'm starting something new. I don't have anybody to move in yet. I just want to secure your property. I don't know how I'm going to pay you rent, but are you willing to take a shot up on me? Versus, hey, I'm starting this new venture, but I've already spoken with X amount of nonprofits and I have 20 people on my waiting list ready to move in. I just need your home so that we can get started.
You guys hear the difference in the pitch? Andy, as an investor yourself, which one would you want to work with? Would you want to?
Absolutely. Guys, I need you guys to answer Brandon's question. Can you tell the difference in the pitch? Just please say yes or no. Because if you can't tell, there we go. Now that's what I want to hear. There we go. Good. So it's the energy, it's the confidence. Like, listen to how Terrence said that, right? If I'm a landlord, like if you come at me with no confidence and you come at me and you say it and you present it the incorrect way, like, I'm not going to want to do business with you. But if you do it the other way, the way that he mentioned a second ago, I'm like, yeah, tell me a little bit more about this. I'm really, really, really interested. Why am I interested? Because as a landlord with, let's say you've got 100 properties, and there's plenty of these guys out there. And Brandon can show you Patrick, who is one of our clients. This is how he got up and going really fast. There's lots of landlords out there that have got 100 properties, and give or take each and every month, they're going to have between 4 on the low to probably about 8 vacancies. If they know that they can turn those over to you or to Terrence, for example, like, and they're going to stay occupied and the rent's going to come in, mark my words, they are interested.
I've never spoken to an investor and gotten a flat out no. Terrence, you've done a couple pitches for your done for you clients. Have you ever had an investor tell you, hey, no, we're not interested?
No, we have not. I would say the worst one, I guess, experience on my end with a landlord was one of my first couple calls that I looped you into. And it was because, like Andy said, I wasn't confident yet. You know, I believed, but I was still building out the list. So I didn't come at them confident. So they weren't confident in me and trusted me with the property, which causes more objections on their end that they ask. But if you have the marketing list behind you and you pitch them confidently because you know the business is going to work, you've listened to the podcast, you've gone through the gold course material, you can explain to them, you know, what happens if a resident is not acting right and you want to ask them to leave, and you can answer all their questions confidently, then you're not going to have any issues with at least getting a landlord at a minimum to ask you to tell them more. Because they're investors for a reason. So if there's a business model that you're telling them about that they're unfamiliar with, they're gonna want to at least hear you out and learn more about it.
Now, are you the worst, your worst call, was that the group of investors that I pitched with you?
Yeah, but not that call specifically, but when I spoke to them myself in person, and then I was like, all right, I need to loop Brandon into this one now.
Well, all right. So even with this, so this is Terrence's worst call when he wasn't confident. They still got on the call, correct?
Correct.
It was a tough call. I will give you that. But what was the end result?
They wanted to work with me.
They wanted to work with
It was
and
too good
get
of
into that.
opportunity.
So again, let's go step by step. I just pulled up Tampa. I believe that's where you operate, right? Okay, so let's go. This is not the first step, by the way. So, but this is what you did, Terrence. Looked for properties for rent. And is there a way to filter for rent by owners or no?
There's not in the for rent section. So
well, here's one that sticks out to me. It's been on the market for 85 days. Probably issues with it. Apartment for rent. Section 8.
So you see right there, listed by management company.
Yeah, so this is the did you look for listed by owner or
Yeah, listed by owner. The first one though actually did come from a management company. So I was open to reaching out to them as well, because management companies sometimes are, you know, controlling hundreds of properties for owners as well.
Dude, it's so smart, Terrence. I never even thought of that. That's so smart.
Yeah. So if you can pitch the right management company to make their life easier and they still get to collect their 10%, they're not going to have any issues working with you.
I recommend this highest ROI. I think you're going to have a better shot speaking with the owners directly.
Absolutely. Yep.
So what we'll have our done for you clients do once they're ready, if they don't have anybody in their personal network, is advertise on Facebook we give you the exact post that you can use. So You can look for investor groups on Facebook, or my personal favorite, and this is how Patrick got started, was meetups. Just go to a meetup, shake hands, talk to people, let them know what you're doing. Oh, hey, Andy, my name's Terrence. I'm starting a business that's in the affordable housing space. It's a way to 10x the cash flow of a typical rental property, have way more control over a property, and get guaranteed checks by the government. Andy, as an investor yourself, would you be interested in hearing more about that?
Absolutely.
It's
Tell me more, because right now I got a tenant that just blew through $90,000 over the last 6 months, and allegedly was working for a job or looking for a job and completely destroyed one of my properties. So if you tell me that you can 10x my property, you're going to be overseeing it, you're going to be collecting the rent, you're going to pay me each and every month on time, I am all ears.
so again, those are like the first steps that we recommend. We'll get into the pitch a little bit, Terrence. Let's just see. This is the one that I would have clicked on. One, I'm looking for bad pictures. This is their first picture that they had. It's a picture of a sidewalk. So I'm guessing that this might not be a professional property manager. It might be the owner. Let's see. Doesn't make a huge difference.
There you go.
Oh, listed by the owner. Boom. So that's who I would call. And little telltale signs that I like to look for. But the pitch, it really doesn't make a difference for this presentation, but you can kind of see what I'm scanning for. I don't want to be speaking with realtors or property management companies. It's kind of hit or miss. I would look for the property owners first. Kind of a telltale sign for that, guys, is just the you're looking for listings that don't look good. They don't look professional. So why would you highlight a picture of the sidewalk? It's
A non-clean sidewalk at that.
yes. So this is most likely a stressed out landlord. It's vacant. There's a good chance they just went through some issues. They didn't fix it up and make it look beautiful yet. It's not bad though. Not bad. So anyways, just to
Brandon,
kind of
can I
zero
make a
in on the
quick
step by
comment?
step. Go ahead, Andy.
So guys, when Brandon is talking and when Terrence is talking, I know that you guys are listening and you're listening very intently, but mark my words, there's a lot of nuance to this business. And what I mean by this, yeah, it's basic blocking and tackling, but the little tiny things that Brandon is talking about and Terrence is talking about are very, very, very important. Things like looking for a picture of a sidewalk on a Zillow listing. Just one small thing like that can cause Brandon to snap his fingers or Terrence to snap his fingers and go, bam, this is who I need to get in touch with. So it's little things like that. So just really, really, really zero in and listen intently to what they're saying.
And it's, I think that this is almost a shortcut. It did work for Terrence, which we'll talk about. Terrence, you've been going to real estate meetups recently, right?
Yeah, I've gone to a few. And I actually recently connected with a new investor here in Tampa he doesn't have 100 properties, but he has 38.
Mm-hmm.
And he's open to working with me.
There we go. So rewinding, do you see why we recommend doing that first? Rather than scanning through the internet, talking to people, talking to realtors, property managers, etc.
Absolutely. You have to do the marketing first for your confidence, and so that the landlords or realtors or whoever you're talking to actually takes you serious.
So let's get into the step by step. So, and you have a hard stop in about 15 minutes, right?
I actually don't anymore. Call got canceled.
Beautiful.
Good to go.
So, all right, we find this. What are you going to say to this person?
So a new line that I'm actually trying, because these, again, I'm sure everyone knows this, but if you have a property posted on Zillow, this person's likely getting calls from wholesalers, other investors trying to buy their property, you name it. So their phone could be overwhelmed. So within the first, I would say 15 seconds, you really got to do something to stand out. So one question that I've been asking is, are you currently accepting commercial leases? That's like a quick, hey, I'm interested in renting your property, not necessarily for like as a single family home, but they're also not hearing commercial leases often because it is a single family home. So their next question is, what do you mean? What are you looking
Yep.
to do with the property? Right.
So
And then
we'll
to
role
work
play
around.
here, Terrence. I'll be the investor. So
Sounds good.
yeah, that depends. What type of business is it?
Yeah, great question. So we are actually helping people transition out of homelessness. We're connected with a few nonprofits in the area. We have a wait list of people who are in need of housing, and it's guaranteed income for you. And then we typically take care of majority of the maintenance for the property as well, so that you're able to just sit back and collect a check on the first of the month. If you're open to it, would love to connect with you and meet you at the property so I can take a look at it and make sure that it's a good fit for us.
All right, let's say we do agree to that. So, hey, I have a couple applicants. They're qualified. They can pay on time and everything too, as that's what the data's telling me. They don't have any evictions on their record or anything like that. Why would I work with you instead of just a qualified applicant?
Yes, so one of the things that we also can do is pay a little bit more than what you're asking for, because we are having more than one individual stay there. And I'm sure, you're an investor. It looks like you may have a couple properties. With us, you won't ever have to worry about going through the eviction process because we're doing all of the management for you. And you're not going to get those, 12 a.m., 2 a.m. phone calls when a toilet is out of service, because that's something that our team would be taking care of. So you could go with the take your chance on the person who's reaching out to you, or you can work with us, potentially earn additional money per month and have less headaches on the back end.
Boom. So as Andy noted earlier, there's nuance to what Terrence just said. Think about what it put yourself in an investor's shoes. For one, you just heard I can make more money and I can do less work. That's going to pique their interest. Okay.
Yep.
And from there, so let's go back to the call that we had, Terrence, which I would say that's the toughest talk I've ever had with an investor. And either on call with clients, with people that were coming to Group Home Riches and had questions or anything like that, or even to talking to investors at meetups. So really, once you pique their interest and you can get them in a meeting or on a call about it, your pitch is just going to be basically the same questions that you guys either had or have now. They're going to be wondering the same exact things. So that group of investors, so it wasn't just one, but it was a father and two sons that were
Yeah.
very, very skeptical. So in sales or in marketing, you're either going to have questions or objections. So these guys just had straight up objections. You answer it the same way, but do you remember some of the objections that they had throughout that call, Terrence?
Oh man, it was a while ago now, but I know that one thing they were curious about was how I plan to handle if I needed to ask someone to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And the obviously important one is how they were going to get paid every
Yeah.
month.
Again, These are the same, I'm telling you, these are the exact questions that we get every single day emailed to me and Andy, right? How do you get paid? All right, what happens if they do blank? If, if they break
Mhm.
something or if they don't pay, their picture, again, put yourself in their shoes. They're not just imagining one qualified tenant in the property, but 10 people that might be transitioning out of homelessness. So, Andy, I'll let you kind of brief them on those objections. All right, how's Terrence going to get paid, or you as the group home operator? You're explaining it to an investor. How do you
Yeah,
get paid?
so what we do is we actually partner up with local, um, they could be private enterprises, they could also be nonprofits. And what they do is they actually collect money on behalf of our clients. So they actually collect the money. This is what they do. This is their full-time mission, and this is what they do. So they'll collect the money on behalf of our clients, and then they pay us directly. It's referred to as a representative payee service. And I don't want to go into too much detail with you, but essentially, we'll have a client. The client is receiving money from the federal government each and every month, but to make sure that the client spends the money on the things that they need to spend the money on, they'll have a third party handle all their money, almost like a trustee. So that's actually who we get paid by. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And that's how we're able to guarantee that we get paid. And then obviously we're going to set you up on an ACH payment. So the money comes directly out of our operating account and directly into your account on the first of each month.
And so that's one way. Another way is, contracts or agreements with these large nonprofits like that.
Right.
So
Right.
either way, either directly or indirectly, you're going to get paid, you're getting paid by the government. So
Yes.
that's what you want the investor to kind of understand. It's a guaranteed check. We're not just going to be chasing homeless people down on the
Right.
first
Right.
of every single month, because
Let me,
that's what they're worried about, right?
I'm going to throw something else out, guys. So, what day was it? Yeah, a couple days ago, I had some meetings with local politicians. And again, a lot of this, I'm going to refer to it as a game, because once you get in and you start playing this game, it is a game, it becomes a lot of fun. But it is a business, and at the beginning, you got to take it very seriously. But I had some meeting with some politicians, and depending on the area, you may not want to use the terminology homeless. You may not want to use affordable housing. It really just depends on who you're speaking with. And the reason I bring that up is because there's going to be certain council members in certain districts that do not want lower end housing. They do not want affordable housing. They actually don't want to help the homeless, even though they say they do. Then there's going to be other council members and other maybe county commissioners or what have you that are interested in that. Well, the same rules don't just apply to council members and commissioners and politicians, they also apply to landlords. So you got to know who you're talking to, and you got to know your audience. So I just want to bring that up.
Yeah, there's buzzwords that you're gonna learn. One is housing first. That's a
Yep.
nice buzzword that they like. I saw that on here.
Another good word for you guys to use, and again, this goes back to how Brandon was saying, it's very nuanced. You got to really know your audience. You got to look for the right thing. Workforce housing is also a really nice, clean word. They like workforce housing.
So again, there's nuance to it. You're gonna learn. The best way is to just get out there taking action, and you will
Yes.
learn along the way. Don't just sit there and watch this webinar, 5 times and try to memorize everything. It's not gonna happen. Same with the gold course, right? I recommend everybody get the gold course, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But you don't want to treat it like a book. You want to treat it as like a choose your own adventure book. Use it as a toolbox that you can go reference something when you need it. So we were talking about, getting investors, excited to work with you. and we gave you guys the pitch that you can use. You heard a couple good elevator pitches that you could use. You're not going to be able to use those if you don't do the first steps we told you, but side issue. After that, most of the calls are just going to be very similar to this video in the gold course. You're going to want to be able to explain these main concepts. Terrence brought up the ones that those investors were really hung up on those things, Terrence. What happens? They framed it a couple different times. What happens if I need to kick somebody out? That was a big one for them. Also, they were worried about you getting paid. Your marketing is going to come into play there. It's if someone asks you that, and you could say, oh, I have a contract with these nonprofits and a wait list. That's a great answer to that question, right? But just being able to explain the basics, how to get paid, the legality of it, the managing of it. How do you manage these people? What happens if you do need to quote unquote evict them, right? So I want to kind of segue into what it's like now, Terrence, because we went over just those beginning steps which I think people will love this, right? That's where most of the people are. While we talk about the next topic, Terrence, I want to hear about what it's like now, right? So you went through the grind, right? You got it started. Let's talk about what your business is like now, and a little bit about the lifestyle too, kind of how you're managing everything, how many properties you have. While we do that, guys, drop in the chat the most basic questions that you have. Pretend you are going to speak with an investor. What do you think the questions they have that you can't answer yet? Relating to management, legal stuff, anything. Drop your basic questions in the chat. We'll go through and answer all those. And Terrence, let's just talk about now. So how many properties do you have? Kind of tell us about how you manage everything like that. And let's get into that for a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're at 5 properties right now. Gonna be at 6 by the end of this month. We're adding a new one from the investor I talked about earlier. And the management style is really what's talked about in the gold course. So each property has a house supervisor, who is somebody who's like the eyes and ears of the house. We have security cameras in place outside, in the front yard, in the backyard, and in the common areas of the house. And if anything comes up to where there's issues, the house supervisor usually lets me know. And now I have a team to where, now I know like a plumber, or like if I need a handyman to do a task, like I can just send a simple text over, or make a quick phone call. But I'm not having to spend as much time on or at the properties as I was at the beginning, because of that house supervisor being in place. It was shocking to me when I was first getting started, is the individuals that move in. We think of it kind of one-sided on our end, that we're providing housing, and they may trash the place. And at least for myself, I was thinking of worst case scenario, but they actually treat it like their home. They're excited to have a place to call home. So they do a great job of keeping it clean. They want to live in a clean place. If someone else isn't cleaning, they're gonna say, hey, you forgot your dishes in the sink, or something like that. So I'm not having to deal with small things around there either. The next steps for me, and where I want to go next, is adding a couple more properties. So I want to get to housing 100 residents is my goal. Right now we're at 37. So we have some climbing to do, and then adding in an operations manager, which I know Andy has a few of them in place, to kind of assist in handling the day-to-day of the properties.
So you do not have an ops manager yet?
I do not. So I had our housing coordinator, which I called him. He was working with us and kind of taking in the calls from the house supervisors. But we recently parted ways, so I'm back to managing them all myself with the house supervisors in place. And then adding after I add probably I would say 3 more properties, I think what is what my bandwidth can take at this time. Then I'll be looking for an operations manager, so probably towards the end of this year.
Awesome.
So even with that, even kind of wearing the operational manager hat and the owner, about how many hours per week would you say you spend on the day-to-day activities on on 5 homes, by the way, guys?
It's it's less than a couple hours to be honest, on a weekly basis. Obviously if like we recently switched locations on a property, so if something comes up, you have to spend more time on that given week or given day. But on the most part, they're running by themselves. So I'm not having to spend more than a couple hours a week as far as the day-to-day operations goes, and most of it can be done. I work from home, so most of it can be done from my house, responding to texts, answering emails from new case managers, new nonprofits that want to partner with us, stuff like that.
So you see why he has time to be a coach now, guys? So let's get into, we use this in the pitch, right? One of the big reasons to do this and what's appealing to investors is kind of 10x the cash flow of a typical rental property. Andy, you have a ton of real estate doors. It's not all group homes, but quite a few rentals as well.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say that the average kind of cash flow on a rental property is? And you don't have to give yours, but in general, real estate.
I would say now, number one, a lot of it, a lot of it boils down to your cost basis. So keep in mind, I mean, a lot of the stuff that, I started doing this, I started buying stuff in 2000. So I've been in this game for a long time. But I would say if you've bought something sometime over the last, call it, 5 to 10 years, you're going to be pretty lucky if you're making, 125 on a house. I'm just referring to homes. 125 to maybe like 250 a month. Um, and again, that assumes that everything goes absolutely perfectly. You can still factor in your 5% vacancy costs, and factor in this and that and maintenance costs and blah 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 blah. But one little CapEx screw up, whether it's a water heater, and remember the water heaters they're built different than they were 3 years ago. So now you pull out a water heater, you can't install a brand new water heater because they're bigger. So now you got extra labor costs because you're ripping out the closet. Your HVAC systems in 2019 cost you, $2,000 just for the equipment, or $2,200 for maybe like a, back then, 2.5 ton unit. You're at double that now just on the equipment. Obviously your labor's up. So you think you're making 125 or $200 a month or 250, but 5 years later with inflation, you got one big thing and you're out, $400 a month over a 12-month period, and $4,800 is gone. So, sorry, I'm being long-winded, guys, but I'm answering Brandon's question accurately. You think you're making 150 a month? You're not. This is very, very, very evasive income is what it is. It's evasive. It keeps eluding you. You'll get it for a couple of months and then boom, it's gone. Group homes are totally different.
Which is why when they hear 10x the cash flow, they're gonna be interested. Whether if you can explain the business model well, and if you've done these first steps, that depends on if you're going to be able to close them or not. But look, any investor, when they hear 10x the cash flow, they're gonna at bare minimum start asking you questions. So Terrence, when we talk about that, do you want to give them an idea? You could be, you don't have to be specific if you don't want to, but what does your cash flow look like on these properties that are filled up?
Yeah, absolutely. And like Andy said, it depends on obviously expenses. So if you own the properties, you're likely going to have a lower mortgage than what you would have to pay via rent. So that's obviously something to think into. But even with that, the properties on average are netting a couple thousand a month, gross wise, which can help like on the real estate side. We're close to, I think we just crossed over like a quarter million. So you can really start to expand and get some cash flow from these properties. Just keeping in mind your expenses. Thankfully, I do not have to deal with, like, if a water heater goes out, that's one of the things that I would I would gladly reach out to Andy for as the landlord and say, hey, looks like this
Yep.
is something that we need help with. But on the other side, that comes with paying additional in rent. So it just depends on your situation and what you have. If you are low on funds getting started like I was, then definitely suggest getting started with trying to rent a property first. And I haven't done it, but I've even seen success stories in, the Facebook group or the school group, to where individuals will partner with the landlords instead of renting it out from them, which pretty much allows them to get started with no money down. I think there's actually someone who did a podcast about that, if I'm not mistaken,
Oh,
Brandon.
we've done a ton of them.
Yep, to where they were able to partner with the landlord, no money down, and then they kind of shared on just the revenue that was created. So there's really no excuses when it comes to trying to find that property or find someone to work with. You just gotta continue with the follow-up, because that's where the money is, and then make sure that you do the marketing first, so that when you do go and start to do these pitches, that you're feeling confident and you have the resources ready to go.
Bingo. So just to recap, and we'll get into these questions because I see a lot of good, kind of beginner questions, which are great. They need to figure this stuff out in order to, one, get the confidence to start picking up the phone, and two, you guys need to be able to explain this stuff once you are pitching landlords and investors, right? So, but just to recap, Terrence, it's been about 2 years, huh? It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
Time flies, but we're up to 5 properties. 6 is coming on board now. Even though he does not own any of these properties, he's renting, and you're typically paying a little bit above market rent, correct?
Correct.
So even with that, he's still cash flowing, couple $1,000 on each property, 5 properties, and only spending a couple hours per week on the day-to-day activities. That's even without an operational manager. So this is just to give you guys kind of an idea of just the lifestyle, right? So let's get into these questions. So how do I get the group home manual? That's Monica. I believe Monica, I would say it's the gold course. So I'm gonna drop that in the chat. I'll be emailing all this stuff, guys, but the gold course is kind of what you see me keep referencing, just a how-to, filled with how-to guides, videos for every step of the process. And guys, it's a flat fee of $199. And I lost where I was at. All right. Great question from Sabrina. Okay. So Andy, I will throw this one to you. Is zoning needed?
Again, a little bit nuanced. High level, it's not, and the reason it's not is because of the Fair Housing Act. And we've got all that stuff in the Gold Course. Brandon can probably pull it. Oh, he's already there. I wasn't really
Hold
paying
up. And
attention.
again, super nuanced, but all of the details are in here.
Yeah, so it's all there. Zoning is a non-issue. If you've got any issues coming from your local politician or whomever, code compliance is usually they're like the harassment vehicle group that's out there kind of messing with it. But print out that Fair Housing Act and say, hey, can you show this to your boss, and let them know when they want to have a talk with me or my attorney, and it'll just stop. It'll stop.
And this is the first the first line of defense, we actually have a legal letter that you guys can use. So let's kind of frame it as if we're speaking with investors and we just want it to kind of click for them, it's Sabrina and is basically just asking about the legality of it, right? So Terrence, when you get, let's say we're at a meetup or something like that, and an investor asks like, oh, I don't want to deal with code compliance, or I bet you this takes forever to kind of get a license. How do you break that down for somebody?
So I typically explain to them that, a license isn't needed. And then I will name drop the Fair Housing Act, and then give the example, which I think is in the gold course as well, of the Oxford houses, and kind of how they operate nationwide, with their sober living homes, and how we fall under those same guidelines, and then continue the conversation from there.
I like to use metaphors or stories, right? So if somebody asks me that, I'll say, hey, you have sorority and fraternity houses in blank city, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, we do. All right. Do those landlords need a license? No, they don't. Okay. Let's say I want to do a house in the same area, but we have senior citizens in the homes. What would it be called if the city makes me get a license, but not the landlords for the frat houses? There's a legal term for it.
Come on,
Terrence.
guys, y'all know it. Discretion.
Elimination.
Bingo. So we have all the federal guidelines and laws on our sides. If you guys have any specific questions on that, drop it in the chat. But this is one of those things that it needs to click for you first, and you need to be able to explain it to friends and family and kind of get them to wrap their head around it as well. Because is this one of the objections and questions that you get from your investors in the beginning, Terrence?
At the beginning, yeah, it was. I think some people, I think it goes around the guidelines of, how do we ensure we're getting paid, right? So that's where that typically will come up.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Great question, Sabrina. All right, this is one of those where if people are just trying to figure every single thing out in the beginning, they're going to start asking about insurance. So we always give a simple answer. We have it in the course, it's in the school group. We have a podcast interview with Bob, who was one of our first done for you clients who specializes in insurance. But I'll just throw it to you, Terrence. What kind of insurance do you have at the home?
Yeah, just general liability insurance, is what we use. It's a $1 million umbrella policy. You don't really need anything else after that on the insurance side.
Yeah. And guys, I would suggest if you're not in the school group, get in there, go to management and look at the long posts and topic on insurance, but that's it. And we tried to do a long podcast with Bob. You remember that, Andy, about insurance specifically,
Yes.
but we only had about a few minutes of material related to insurance. So it's one of those things, don't overthink it.
Yep.
You know, but good question, very common question. Julianne, great question.
Brandon, quick note there on the the insurance. I got to call it out.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I love the school group, because I'm always learning from it too. Someone posted in there, it was a couple weeks ago, about the insurance that they had just got, and they got a rate to where I was like, oh wow, I gotta go back and talk to my insurance broker. So you're always getting more information, seeing people's wins. So definitely encourage people to get into the school group if they aren't already there.
Yeah, guys, it's only $10 a month. You're not gonna get all the guides and the paperwork and stuff like that and the videos, but you could, if you spend some time in here, you're gonna be able to learn all this stuff for $10 a month. And then me and Andy, we do exclusive webinars like this where we really dive into the nuance, and we do that once a month. It's look, I'm telling you, it's cheap real estate at this point because we're just getting this off the ground, but there's nowhere else you're gonna get access to somebody like Andy for $10 a month. I'm telling you, looking into the real estate space, it's invaluable. So check that out, guys. If you find us on the school app, we're under Group Home Riches. It's only $10 a month. So Julianne with a great question. This is perfect. This is the type of stuff. This is why we tell you guys to take action. So Julianne is actually out there speaking with landlords. This is the type of question, Terrence, that the people that we pitched, this is how they would frame it. Hey, what happens if someone puts a hole in the wall?
Love it. So the simple answer is, you have to, it's going to get fixed. The landlord shouldn't have to worry about that. But in the agreement that is in the gold course, everything's in the gold course. It talks about damages and kind of the process on if an individual were to damage the property, and gives you the right to kind of hold onto their things until they cover those damages. So short answer is we will handle it. We're going to take care of that hole in the wall. The landlord wouldn't even be notified about it. I would just get it fixed on our end. And then you would work with the individual who do the damage, or the nonprofit that they came with, to kind of get those funds to get it fixed.
Bingo. And Julianne, again, just understanding the basics. That's a way to frame, deep down, that investor has gone through an eviction before, right? So what they're really asking is what happens if you need to evict somebody? Andy, what's the eviction process on your group homes like?
There is none. There is none. And it's just like a hotel, guys, which is frankly one of the reasons why we like buying hotels also and operating them as extended stays. You don't have to file an eviction. You go over there and you lock the door and they're out. You lock the door, they're gone. You call the police, hey, they're trespassing, they're gone. It's really that simple. Move their stuff out, throw it out on the curb, they're out of there.
And
And I
guys,
know that sounds a little bit harsh, but that's the reality.
the hotel analogy is great. Most of the time, what happens when a stern manager person goes and, tells somebody at the hotel, hey, you need to get out.
Yeah, they
They're
leave.
gonna leave.
They leave.
Right? So, and you can work with, the caseworkers that you're working with or the family members, but short answer, Julianne, they get kicked out. And this is all covered in the agreement. We call it the licensee agreement, not to be confused with licensed assisted living facility or anything like that. Meaning you're not leasing the property to these people, you're just licensing space to them. Very similar to a hotel or Airbnb or something like that. And again, included in the gold course, which is only $199. You're going to need an agreement like this. You'll save money on the gold course and lawyer fees by getting the one that Andy uses.
It's a couple $1,000 document right there.
That's a great question, Julianne. Steve asks, hey, if I prepay rent, what type of rent discounts are possible? It's all negotiable, right? April, very related to the same question, guys. So a great question by April. These are the types of questions that a landlord is going to ask. How do you keep the property from being damaged? How does the eviction policy work? We just answered that. Terrence, kind of back to the house supervisors, cameras. How do you keep the property from being damaged in the first place?
Well, one, I touched on it earlier, the individuals do a good job at keeping the property nice and clean, but before someone moves in, you also go through this agreement with them so that you guys are on the same page in regards to the house rules. So the last page on your Brandon, it talks about the house rules, and this is the same housing agreement that I use today. And on was that the fourth or fifth bullet point, must clean up all personal items, dishes, and trash. If you're getting ready to move someone in and they're not okay with anything on here, then they're not a right fit for your house. There's more people looking for housing than there are housing providers. So never settle and try to, just let someone move in if you have a gut feeling that they aren't going to be a good fit and could potentially cause damage to your home.
Bingo.
Yeah, that's an immediate red flag if people are asking about the house rules. Or another one that I see a lot that people give into just because they're not coming from a mind frame of abundance like you just mentioned, Terrence. They're coming from, oh, I need to fill the property up, I need to get my first money in. People that don't agree to the rep payee situation, or they just, oh, you know what, I don't want to go through all that, I'll just pay you on the first of the month personally, via PayPal or cash. That's one of those ones where, look, if anyone's given you objections to the house rules in the beginning, what are you going to do, Terrence?
They're not a good fit, so they
Bingo.
wouldn't be moving in.
Which is why the marketing's so important, right? That'll give you that mindset of abundance. You don't need to fake it. If you got people blowing up your phone or 20 people on your wait list, that's the best way to get into that abundance mindset. Rose asks, how do you know which management company to talk to? Rose, we kind of went through a live demonstration of that. So I would just go back and watch it, but I pulled one up. I'm looking for telltale signs that it's an owner. So what we typically tell our clients is to avoid the management companies in the beginning. Look for owners. I think it's easier to speak with the owners directly, in my opinion. So yeah, what I'm looking for is unprofessional looking ads. And this telltale sign was the sidewalk. I have no idea why anyone would highlight this on a posting. And then you just scroll down and you can see that it's listed by the property owner. So we did that live earlier. So go back and watch that, Rose. We covered that. This is a good question for you, Terrence. How much does the landlord usually ask to secure the housing?
If you're renting it out regular, which is what I've done, it's either, just like you're renting a regular property. So first month's rent and security deposit, or there's been some people who they've asked for first month's, last month's, and security deposit, and then I negotiated down to just first month and a security deposit.
And you're typically paying above market rent?
Yeah, nothing crazy. I usually do a couple hundred above, and that's really to, again, give them the idea of why it just makes sense, make it a no-brainer for them to work with me.
Let's talk about mindset a little bit as well. So we talked about our first call, which was a very tough investor call, right? They wanted to work with you. What did you do after that call?
I turned them away. I went with my gut. I prayed on it, and it was not going to be a good fit for my first home. And reason being is because they had so many objections. They didn't believe in me and what I wanted to do, and I did not want the pressure of a landlord breathing down my neck as I'm still trying to figure things out myself, because it was the first home I was opening up, right? So I made the decision not to work with them, which I'm grateful that I did, and met with the first property that I did that gave me the freedom to, make mistakes if I needed to at the beginning, without feeling the consequences of a landlord breathing down my neck every step of the way.
And I'm to the point where if I'm pitching on behalf of the done for you clients or talking to an investor about this, I know the headaches that the typical rental investor is going to go through. I know that if they're partnering or working with a group home operator that actually does the first steps that we take, this is just my personal opinion and the frame of mind that I'm in. I think that that investor is a complete and utter idiot if they do not work with an operator like Terrence kind of put himself in the position in. Terrence, after that call that we had, would you say you kind of adopted that mindset?
Absolutely.
And how
Absolutely.
long did it take after you heard me pitch those folks? How long did it take for you to find somebody that was just going to be easier to work with after that call?
It was in the same week.
Bingo. So yeah, there's a lot of this stuff comes from mindset, putting in the work, doing the steps that we take. I want to kind of address something. Do you have a list of potential clients in South Carolina? Someone else previously asked, hey, would you invest in me? Guys, we went over the steps to take. Do not look for shortcuts. You will spend the next years, if you want, looking for a shortcut to avoid the couple hours of work that we just told you to do. There's no shortcuts. There's no just list of potential clients. You need to build your marketing list and develop those relationships with the people in your area. No one is just going to give you a list of people that want to live in your home. No one is just going to give you money to invest in it because, you're really positive minded and you think it's going to work. They'll invest in you. Investors will work with you. Landlords will work with you if you put in the work in the beginning, which we went over.
Brandon, can I just comment real quick on that?
100%, because I could talk about that all day.
Yeah, and Terrence, I would presume we'll talk about it as well, but this is biblical stuff, guys. This business model has been around for thousands of years, right? When the three wise men were going to visit baby Jesus, they had to stop and stay at little houses. They were staying at group homes back then. They were staying at care homes, transitional homes, whatever you want to refer to them as, little hotels. So that's kind of number one. Number two, you have to plant the seeds, but before you plant the seeds, you got to till the soil. You got to work. You have to prove to the world that you've put in the work. You have to have proof of work. And trust me, over the course of the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, put that little phrase into your mind because you will be hearing a lot of it. Proof of work. You have to prove that you've worked. If you get something for free out of this world, you will lose it. So you got to put in the work, like Brandon said. Nobody's going to give it to you. Now, if you wanted to partner with somebody, okay, you can partner with us with our Done For You program, but you've got to put in the work. And it's not me telling you this or Brandon or Terrence. This stuff goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. If you give your children money for doing nothing, they will turn into spoiled brats. And the same rules apply to life. You've got to put in the work, and there has to be proof of work. So I'm a repeater more than anything else, but I really want you to let that all just kind of sink into your mind. Very important that you put in the work.
Yeah, we went over the work. So, and it's just a couple hours, maybe a couple hours per week. If you're short on time, gather the contacts, email people, follow up with them. So again, there's no shortcuts here. So Monica asks about the program cost to get started. Look, we have material and content for every financial situation that you guys have out there. If you literally can't afford anything, you have our free content on YouTube. You have this webinar. We just gave you the homework assignment to do, and we showed you how to do it. You can do that for free and start to build your business up. We have the school group, which is only $10 a month. We have the gold course, which is $199. And we have, coaching, website development, that goes all the way up to, over $10,000. So it depends on your financial situation and if you can pay for shortcuts. Terrence did have enough to, do the one-on-one coaching, which is designed to get you out of the gold course, right? It forces you out of it. And then we have the Done For You program where, our virtual assistants, our coaches, the virtual assistants are going to do that digital work for you. We're going to do everything that we can via computer. We'll get it done for you. So you could just focus your time on showing up to the meetings that we set up for you, listening to the coach like Terrence pitch the organizations for you, answering your questions in the group chat that we set up for you, and just working with that coach to get your first home rocking and rolling. And that's for folks that have a budget to pay for a shortcut like that. So great question, Monica. Kind of a long answer, but that's what it is. Let's go through it. Did you guys see any good questions in the chat?
I saw, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying I didn't really look through there yet.
Okay, I saw Aba asked like the average charge per bed. That usually just depends on the area that you're in, and how much the average rent is. One of the things that comes with the Done For You program is our team does market research and will reach out to other housing providers in your area and then kind of give you like the price point of where you think you would be able to market your place for on a per bed basis. And then Brandon, I do have to hop off in about 10 minutes. But
Okay.
wanted to add in, for one of the things that I love doing, and which is why I actually slowed down a little bit on my own business and was focusing on the coaching with the clients, is it's a learning experience for the people coming in too. So not only is like our team setting up the calls and getting you going, but we're on the calls together. So when you go speak to these organizations, instead of coming as a single individual, you're coming with a whole team supporting you, whether that be through email, call, on the Zoom calls, you name it. So the other organizations are a lot more comfortable when speaking with you and setting up next steps.
Let's go over that. What are the first couple of weeks look like for the Done For You clients up until that first meeting with the organization? And then what does that first meeting look like with the nonprofits? What are you saying to them, and what's the role for the Done For You client?
Yeah. So first couple weeks, we are practicing what we preach. So our team is focusing on marketing. We are reaching out to nonprofits, case managers, social workers in your area, letting them know that we're getting started with the goal of setting up Zoom calls for us to hop on with the proper titles that we touched on, right? So the director of leasing programs, for example. While we're waiting for that first Zoom call to get scheduled, that's when we're, working on LLC. We can talk about general liability insurance, and just aligning on kind of your goals and your vision. And then I actually had a first call today with one of our clients, and it was incredible because one of the comments he made at the end was, you guys say that when you get on the phone with these nonprofits that, it's like a reverse sell and they just start to pitch you. He was like, there really is no better way to explain it, because we did our introduction. We told them what we are looking to do. And then I kid you not, for like 10 minutes straight, I was just on mute. Didn't even have to say anything else, because she started to pitch us on her program and how excited she was to work with us.
Beautiful. So look, we don't want people that are looking for it to be a passive project, but in the beginning, we really do this kind of the heavy lifting for you. We get the meeting set up, and on that first call or two, eventually we want you guys to get comfortable and eventually start leading the meetings. But on that very first call, we're gonna make it click for you. We're gonna have Terrence pitch the people like Monica or Calpurnia. He's gonna say, hey, I'm the manager of the community outreach team with your company name here. We saw that you had a rapid rehousing program. We're just looking for information on that. And it's almost that simple. And then they'll pitch you, and then we get the ball running from there. So Terrence, I'll let you get prepared for your next call. I know you said you had to roll. Do you have any final words for the folks out there?
Final words is just get started. No matter which direction you choose to go, whether you're gonna do it yourself or make the investment in yourself and purchase one of the programs Brandon covered, just get started in one way. And I really loved what Andy said. He started to preach on us, but if someone gives you something, you're also giving them the power to take it away from you. So you're going to want to put in the work at the beginning and build this thing yourself, alongside, your coach or with the nonprofits that you're working with or however you do it. Because then once you do build it up and you're a part of that process, no one can take it away from you. And that's what the end goal is. Because I'm sure everyone here is looking into this venture, one, because you have a passion and you want to help people, but also you could be tired of working that 9 to 5. You're looking for that freedom to where you are your own boss and you're in control of the decisions you're making on a daily basis. And unfortunately, you can't get there without the work.
Beautifully said. So Terrence, I'm going to drop your link at the end of the call for people to book a call with you if they want to learn more about the coaching products that we offer and working with you personally. We'll have a couple options for them, and then they can hop on a call with you to kind of go over those details, and you can answer their questions, kind of, look at their situation and then recommend the best option for them.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the time, Brandon and Andy and everyone. I'm very much looking forward to working with you guys and helping you along your journey.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thanks, Terrence.
No problem. Bye, everybody.
All right, Andy, well, do you got another maybe 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah. We can do a couple more minutes.
So Abby asked about the one-on-one coaching program. She said the questions were not getting answered properly. Okay, Abby, we've been asking for you guys to ask questions, but I would work on, the action, complete your milestones. You can ask your coaches in between the calls. We have unlimited online support. The only way this is happening, maybe there's an issue with spam on either route, but you can email me, brandon@grouphomeriches.com, or you can go into more details here about getting the answers. You said your questions weren't getting answered properly. So feel free to ask now, or you can email me more details, but you can email your coaches in between the calls, and all you need to do is complete the homework assignments to progress through it. So yeah, feel free to drop more details here, or you can email me, brandon@grouphomeriches.com. But it's
guys,
pretty
on that note,
here with the coaching.
On that note, I want you to see how transparent that we are, right? I mean, we're not like everybody else. Again, I don't know that many other people that are, teaching people how to do stuff. But the point is that, guys, people are like, hey, Brandon, you didn't give me, or Andy, you didn't give me this, that, or everything else. In front of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people on this webinar, we're addressing you. We're not, like blocking you. We're addressing you saying, hey, tell us what you want us to answer, and we'll answer it. So, yeah, I feel like we're extremely transparent. We're here to help. We want to make you guys successful. for crying out loud. We just had one of our coaches on that used to be one of our students. And, look, maybe you think that he would be your guy. If you felt like you jived with Terrence, go apply. Go apply to have him be your coach. I mean, this is an unbelievable opportunity. And look, maybe Terrence isn't your guy, but go listen to some of the other webinars that we've done or some of the other podcasts that we've done where we have some of the other coaches on, and you're like, hey, you know what? I feel like I really click with that person. Let me go apply to have them coach me and do it done for you with them. So yeah, so like Ted's asking right here, how can I get a coach? Brandon, you want to handle that?
Yeah. So I'll drop all the links here. If you vibe with Terrence, I would recommend booking the call with him so he can assess your situation. He's either going to recommend, the done for you deal, working with him, or the one-on-one coaching. So I'll drop those links here in a second. I don't want to lose my place in the chat because I know there were a bunch of questions. So I don't want to get into the weeds too much. How can we get the recording? I'm going to send the recording and the links that we talked about. Food. Do you provide food in the houses, Andy? I'll let you kind of handle that because it's
We do,
point of
guys. I'm not a
confusion.
big advocate of it, especially now, right? I mean, we've seen ravaging inflation over the last couple of years. 40% of all currency units ever existing in the United States were created over basically a 2-year period from 2020 to about 2022, 23. And look, when you have that many currency units going into circulation, a lot of that flows to the grocery store, unfortunately. So nowadays, I wouldn't be a big advocate of providing food.
The way I tell folks now when they ask it is just look at it as charity. It's a way to give back. If you go into Andy's properties and look at the pantry, it's stuff, non-perishable items, typically stuff you'd see at a food drive. So it's just a way to give back. You don't have to have pre-cooked or, great, 3 meals per day, right? And most of the people are going to be on food stamps or working with places that provide that anyways.
Right.
So
Right.
Ebony asks, how do we go to the monthly meetings? So I think she's referring to school. Again, I'll drop this app, but guys, you could just download the school app. It's spelled kind of funky, school with a K, and just search Group Home Riches. It's just $10 a month. And, another great point to this, again, just we really try to over deliver here. Guys, you have access to all of the previous meetings that we've done, which on those school webinars, we stick away from just kind of the short answers and we'll really dive in on specific topics and really get into the nuance on that. A lot of questions, just like general management questions, guys. Again, hop in school. We really get into the nuance and stuff there. Average charge per person. We talked about cash flow, Andy. You wanted to, you know what? Let me break it down, kind of calculator.
Yeah, get a calculator out. How many of you guys out there want to see that? Just put yes on there. You guys want to learn about how the money flows in this business?
Yeah, because Terrence hinted at it, right? So he's got 5 properties. He told you guys how much he grosses. Good chance he spends about half of that on expenses. So we're going to use nice, even, conservative numbers, and we'll kind of tell you why. All right, why would an investor want to work with you? You heard us mention 10x the cash flow, right? Talk about Group Home Riches. Yes, we all want to help our community and give back, but at the end of the day, what's in it for you? Why would you do this instead of just, going to work for a charity, right? And why is this a viable business? So it's going to vary, market to market, but in general, you want it to be an affordable price. This is usually around the number that works for most areas. Eric is one of our done for you coaches, and he does the one-on-one coaching as well once you complete that first milestone. He's in California, one of those markets that's, kind of a outlier, and he's an hour away from the Bay Area, so it's not even the expensive place. He gets $850 per bed. Andy, you're right around 600 in most of the properties, correct?
Oh, we're a little bit up over that now. Yeah.
Let's use 600 just so,
Yeah.
again, let's keep it conservative.
Mhm.
So, and it's all bills paid. So you're the comparable is, getting a studio on your own. You're not getting anything for less than $1,000, right? So this is super affordable. So this is your gross revenue per bedroom. We are going to look for 4, 5-bedroom homes, maybe convert the garages, right? So there's some properties, Andy, where you got like 7, 8 bedrooms. They're just the cash cows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's use a 5-bedroom. This is what's called your gross revenue. About half for expenses, right? That's including, market rent, bills, utilities are going to be a little bit higher, but there's no employee expenses or anything like that. Or you have your house supervisor factored in. But let's say we spend $3,000 on expenses. Would you say that's accurate, Andy?
I'm doing something right now on how big of a property?
5-bedroom,
Yeah, that's
600 per
about right.
bed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Going to spend about total, including the market rent, about $3,000.
Yeah.
This is going to be your net. Okay. Let's use Terrence as an example. He's got five bedrooms, 5 homes, rocking and rolling. This is an example of the net profit that you could have. Okay. Let's annualize that. Probably pretty close to what Terrence said. So on 5 properties, that's what you're looking at. Couple hours per work or couple hours per week. Would you say this is worth a couple hours of your guys' time? So
Yes or
question for
no?
everybody. Question for everybody. How much do we need to take out for expenses here? I'll drop the links to everything. How much do we take out for expenses, guys?
Good. We got one person that answered it correctly. Awesome.
Let's go. Good job, guys. Right? So this is an example of the type of profit that you can look at on 5 homes, which is this is not unfathomable for you to do in that first year. The record that I know of is someone did 15 properties. We've had a couple people do, 10 to 15 properties in that first year, but we want to keep it conservative. Okay. So someone asked, yes, this includes everything. Again, remember, we took out 3,000 per property for expenses. So that's going to overestimate your bills, account for vacancies, and the house supervisor, which is just a discounted rent. Okay. So that's the type of profit you guys could be generating. And again, that's something that you could do in the first year. So question for you guys, if we were to do the heavy lifting for you, kind of do everything that we talked about with the done for you deal, we provided you a coach to hold your hand throughout the whole process. If you were to do that, would it be worth splitting this first year's profit with us?
Anybody? Yeah, it would be.
It would be, right?
I can't believe we only have one person saying it would be. But anyways, apparently everybody else is out making freaking millions of dollars a year.
So,
Well,
look,
maybe you guys should be the coaches.
Yeah, good news for you guys. We don't take any profit. We want you to make as much as possible. We want you to beat Terrence. We want you to beat somebody like Patrick that did 15 in his first year. Okay. So we don't take profit at all. With the done for you deal, there's a couple of different financing plans and options. So the total price is going to depend on which option you pick. We have financing available as well. It's a 6-month program. Terrence will go over all the details with you guys on the done for you deal if that's something that you're interested in.
And if it is, all you guys got to do is just, get on the phone with him and apply, right? You've got to apply to see if this is the right thing for you.
We're not even going to do an application today. So
Okay.
just go ahead and book it. I want to preface this. With the done for you deal, you need we're not going to work with anybody that doesn't have at least $5,000 to invest in this project. Okay. Again, there's financing and payment options available. I want you to keep in mind that we invest personally thousands into each one of these projects. So it's going to be much more than that. But you don't have to do the done for you deal. If you feel like you're qualified, if you have at least a couple $1,000 to invest in this and you want to get 3 to 5 properties rocking and rolling in the next 6 months, I want you to book a call with Terrence here and he'll go over all the details with you. He might recommend one-on-one coaching. He might recommend the done for you deal. He might just recommend you get the gold course. Okay. So book a call with Terrence here and he'll go over all of those options with you. Okay, guys? So let's see if we had any other questions for folks. Just a whole bunch of yeses, right? If you guys have questions on the done for you deal or the coaching, drop those now. If not, we're going to be, is the done for you deal structured? You can ask like much, a little bit more details on that, Yolanda, but it is structured. This we're going to do is a pretty much step-by-step process, right? So we want you to kind of understand the basics first, and the coach will work with you on that. The team's going to build out this list for you and do a lot of like kind of automated marketing and things like that. So you're going to have our assistants do the stuff for you. Then you're going to be doing meetings with the nonprofits and people like Monica and Calpurnia that we pulled up for our friend in Boston. So yeah, it's structured, step by step. It's case by case though. Everybody's in a different kind of situation. So we like to stick to a general structure, which is kind of outlined in this scope of work here. I'll drop this in the chat so you guys can check it out.
Hey, Brandon, can you pull up the text that I just sent you? It's I'm just randomly glancing at this chat right here from Richard. Scroll up on the chat for whatever reason. I haven't even looked at it until now, but this is what's popping out.
Oh, nice.
And so Richard mentioned, just put it up on the screen for everybody to see. If you can do that.
Give me a second. Let me send it to myself.
Yeah, do that or just pull it up off the chat from Zoom.
Oh, is it in the chat?
Yeah,
you messaged it. Oh, okay. Awesome.
Just pull it up and put it on the screen so everybody can see it. That way they don't have to go looking for it in the chat. And then just talk about that real quick, because this is what you guys are going to get when you do talk to Terrence. He's going to walk you through exactly how this works.
Yeah, bear with me. Let me pull it up on the email because I can't pull the chat up.
Do you want me to email it to you?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Why don't you read it while
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it says Terrence is my coach and I am a done for you member. Today was our first call with a potential client. The call was literally unbelievable. She was so excited to speak to us and mention how excited she was to form a partnership with us. She also scheduled another call for Monday to present us or to present to us the ins and outs of being their landlord or property manager and getting on their list, as well as best practices to move forward with. I mean, I'm telling you guys, this is the little golden nugget. This is the secret, right? Having a partner that holds you accountable, but that will also make you successful it's a game changer in life. This is like the secret bullet. So again, you don't have to do all the work. That's why it's called the done for you. We're going to do all the work for you. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And we're going to be able to fast forward you to the end goal and the end destination. We're going to get you there a heck of a lot faster.
Yeah, and the email stuff is not working for some reason.
That's fine. Anyways, I just bring it up because Brandon's talking to you about, booking a call with Terrence. This is all the more reason to do that. Book a call with him.
And you guys heard it live. Terrence talked about the call earlier, and luckily Richard was on the call with us today. So that's an inside glimpse of, just some feedback from one of the done for you clients. And you guys can also, we have a couple interviews now it's a new program, but you could go listen to it, hear it from them first. So Hannah is one of our done for you clients, rocking and rolling. I think she's on to property number 2 or 3 at this point. We have Bob that we talked about. Jade is one of our first done for you clients, who's now one of the coaches. So yeah, if you guys, have the funds and resources to pay for the shortcuts and you want to go big quickly, definitely the done for you program is worth it. And we just kind of demonstrated that with the calculator program, right? But, not going to work for everybody. That's fine. Book a call with Terrence. He'll go over all the details with you, assess your situation, answer all the questions about all of the options, and then recommend whatever is best for you guys. So, man, that's so cool that Richard popped in. I don't see any other questions on the products. So that's a good sign, Andy. That means that we kind of covered everything.
Good. Hopefully we added some value to your all's life today. And if you do want to book a call with Terrence, go ahead and do that. Brandon, did you give them the link to book a call with him?
I did.
Okay.
I'll drop that again. Here's the scope of work. And I'm going to email this out to everybody as well. If you want to get a head start, which I recommend you do, normally you have to apply for the done for you program. I want you guys to, listen to what I said, think about the scope of work. You need at least a couple $1,000 that you can invest in into the project, marketing, the project itself, etc. If you feel like you are qualified, book a call with Terrence. Those bookings are going to go quickly. So I suggest you grab it out of the chat and book now. Okay. So, and again, that's for folks that want to go big. You want to go quickly. You need to have a positive mindset. If you are asking about shortcuts and, hey, can you send me referrals? Or if you have a negative mindset about money, if you are kind of check to check, but if you think that this is just a last ditch home run that's guaranteed, if you're looking for a super passive project where you don't have to do anything, this is not for you. Okay. But if you feel like you're qualified, you have a positive mindset, you are ready to put into the work and kind of do what Terrence prescribes to you, work with us, partner with us. You want to go big. You want to get a good ROI on your investment, 3 to 5 properties in that first year, and you feel like you're going to be successful, book that call with Terrence and he'll go over all the details with you guys. I will send out the recording. That will be coming via email and it will take a little bit to process. So I'll send that out this afternoon. I suggest you guys book that call now because his schedule is going to fill up quickly. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Andy, do you have any parting words for the folks out there?
Really nothing, guys. If this looks like something you'd be interested in doing, if you like this industry, if you want to make money, if you want to live life on your own terms, if you guys want to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, where you want, chances are you want to start up a group home business. And if you do, get on the phone with Terrence. Go talk to him. Go talk to him. Take action.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Look forward to seeing everybody inside the school group. If you had any questions that weren't addressed on the call, you can email Brandon or Andy at grouphomeriches.com. And yes, we look forward to hearing these success stories. You'll see that me and Andy, we don't put our faces on anything. You don't see a lot of podcasts about Brandon and Andy or anything like that. We want your guys' success stories to be the face of Group Home Riches. So we look forward to seeing every single person that's on this podcast. We look forward to seeing your success story and your interview here on the podcast. So thank you guys so much. And we look forward to working with you guys. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you. See you guys.
All right. Bye.